Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
He's alive!
Welcome to Where the Weird Ones Are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, well, now you do. Today's episode is a milestone episode. It is episode 50. Yay! I made it to episode 50. Didn't even think I was going to make it to episode 10, so I feel pretty lucky and super blessed that all the love that I get from everybody that not only listens, but who also follows the Instagram, people buying merch and all of that. I mean, if you would have asked me when I decided, the day that I decided that I was going to start this podcast, this is not at all how I thought it was going to look like. It looks way better than I anticipated, so I appreciate all of you. So with that being said, today's episode features Isaac the Shadow Walker. He also is the host of Hidden in the Shadows podcast, where they talk about all things paranormal, and he does it with his wife, who is a psychic medium. And from what he says in this episode about his wife, she sounds like a good person to have a guest as well. She sounds very interesting, and I love the fact that they've been together for a while now, and their interests align, and I just love that when I hear couples who investigate and do things like this together. And they talk about this stuff so much. He states right here in this episode that they talk about it so much, they were talking about it in when they would lay in bed at night before they would go to sleep, that they decided to make the podcast. So definitely go check out their podcast. You can find them on Instagram at Hidden in the Shadows. So I'm pretty sure he said they're on all platforms, but just in case I'm incorrect, just listen to him when he says it, when he plugs his show. So yeah, so anyway, so I didn't really talk that much in this one because he's extremely intriguing, and like he says, he's got the gift of gab, so he could talk. He can, in his stories I was so captivated, and he has more, so he is going to be back on the show, hopefully in the near future, to tell us more of those stories and whatnot. And so with that being said, I really hope you enjoy this episode. Show his podcast some love. Show his Instagram some love. I enjoyed talking to this guy. He's a good person, and he's in it for the right reasons, I believe. So I think this is a genuine case. So please let me know what you think. Either email me at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com about what you think about this episode, about what you think about the show so far, and if you're interested on being featured in the show. Or you can DM me for all of those same reasons, which is The Weird Ones on Instagram, Facebook, Where the Weird Ones Are. So I'm pretty easy to reach. I reply to every message I get, whether it's DM or email. So, what else do we got? I got the Etsy. So if you're interested in the merch, go to etsy.com/shop/wheretheweirdonesare. Got a shit ton of shirts and a bunch of designs out there. So that's pretty dope. What else? I got a Halloween special coming up. So if you have a creepy story, just record yourself like a 10-15 minute video or whatever. And send that to me, and I'm gonna put it right into the Halloween special. So it's gonna be like a show of like just a bunch of people telling their own stories. So if you're interested in that, please email me those videos. Again, that's wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com. So, what else? Deeper Down .store. You can go check out his phenomenal threads. He's got a lot of good shit. Etsy.com/shop/heal with Christina if you're into healing crystals and whatnot. All right, let's do some shout outs. How about that? We'll do some shout outs. So Hidden in the Shadows. I started listening to his podcast after I spoke with him. And I really enjoy their podcast. So go check that shit out. Let's see. If you're on Instagram, go check out __ down the rabbit hole __. Please follow him. He's a good friend, and he has a lot of good content. And then there is Haunts in the Cabin, a new podcast that combines Haunts Cast and the Conversation Cabin. So Farrah and Courtney teamed up together to make one podcast, and that's on YouTube. So please go check that out. Also check their singular podcast, which is Hauntcast, and the Conversation Cabin. So if you're into dark stories, you'll enjoy both of those. So and then One Nothing Podcast, Amanda, I love you. So please go follow her, go check out her shit. But yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna do for shout outs. Oh, Black Smoke Paranormal. Please go check that shit out. Go check out their YouTube. They've been killing it on their investigations. 305 Paranormal as well. What else? YouTube. Oh, Creeper Cryptids, dude. Out there in Dogman Country in Australia. Go check his channel out. That's also on YouTube. My son's gaming YouTube is Raptor Rex. He just does short videos of him playing video games. I feel like I wanted to shout out somebody else, and Drew. Drew tags on Instagram. The dude can paint. I can tell you that. It's spray paint art. It's really good. He's sending me some here soon. We decided to barter. I'm gonna give him a T-shirt for his art. But he also has a podcast, and it's Cryptid Warfare podcast. So go check out that podcast as well. And if you haven't listened, they were both Drew and Z was on this show a couple episodes ago. It came out on 4th of July. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this show. I enjoyed listening to him. I enjoyed speaking with him. So I hope you guys enjoy listening as well. And I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good night, whatever time you decide to listen to this. And as always, my friends, stay weird.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird. Get weird.
www.deeperdown.store. That's where you want to go if you want a hoodie like this. I don't know if you can see it that well. Hold on, I'll show you. If you're just listening to the audio, it's down the rabbit hole. So, if you're watching the video, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is my hoodie. I got it from David, who is __ down the dot rabbit hole __. He has a merch store, so go please fucking check that out. He's got a whole bunch of cool shit, cool designs. So if you need a hoodie, you need any kind of threads, please go check it out. He's a good friend of the show, and he's co-hosting over at One Nothing podcast for a couple episodes, so go check those episodes out. And please show him some love and some support. He's got a lot of cool shit in his store, so go check that shit out. Also, if you do decide that you want something from his shop, you can use my code Kevin's Weird 18. You get 18% off of your purchase. So however much shit that you want to get, the better it is for you to get more than just one thing with the coupon. So please go show him some love, show him some support. He's doing amazing shit. If you're not following him on Instagram, you probably should. So do that. All right, everybody. That's www.deeperdown.store. Yo, you like crystals? Do you like healing crystals? Do you like candles? Are you into energy healing and cleansing your mind, body, and soul? Bro, head on over to etsy.com/shop/heal with Christina. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. She's got amazing handcrafted crystals, custom made, some of them. So you should definitely check her out. She's an amazing person. She's an amazing friend. All she wants to do is help people. She wants to heal people. And she's just here, just shining her light. And it's fucking bright. It's a bright ass light. So, again, if you're into healing crystals and whatnot, you're spiritual, you got to go check her store out. Again, that's etsy.com/shop/heal with Christina. Upon checkout, enter the coupon code WEIRD125. You get 25% off. So please show her some love and check her out. She goes by Heal with Christina on Instagram, so you can connect with her there too. So yeah, check it out. All right, so after all of that technology trying to keep us back from speaking, why don't you tell the people that do listen to this show a little bit about yourself and about your podcast and what your podcast is all about?
First of all, thanks for bringing me on the show. Appreciate it.
Not
I
a
know
problem.
we got in touch through a mutual friend, Mike from the Unknown Paranormal.
Yes, he recommended that I talk to you and there was somebody else, but he's like, you gotta talk to Hidden Shadows.
Well, specifically, I guess he was talking about me.
Well, yes, you.
Yeah, Isaac, also known as the Shadow Walker, co-host of Hidden Shadows podcast I do with my wife. We're a paranormal podcast talking about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. But essentially everything paranormal, cryptid, conspiracy theory-esque, more focused on the paranormal. I mean, we know about cryptid and aliens and stuff like that, but and some conspiracy theories, but we don't really put much I don't know. We don't put much effort into talking about it a lot because our main forte is the paranormal, because that's where we spend most of our time, and also paranormal investigators on the side as well. So besides doing the podcast, we do find ourselves paranormal investigating around here, and of course having cases remotely.
Nice. So Mike gave me a little bit of a rundown of what you had done for him, and he's like he was fantastic just doing it remotely. And I was like, and he's like, I never knew that like you that was a thing. I thought they always had to be, physically present. And I was like, I just, when he had told me, I had literally just learned that you people can do that from X amount, any like distance, really. And I was just learning that, so that's I think that's pretty cool. So, if you don't mind, like just giving the people like a little bit of a rundown of your process of remote viewing, if there is much of one.
Well, it'd be better to explain everything first versus the gist of what was told to you. Now, remote viewing, that is my wife's specialty. She's a very powerful psychic medium. She's a jack of all trades when it comes to psychic abilities. Remote viewing is for her main thing that she does. She's more fluent in it than anything else. She can go anywhere to anyone, alive or dead. But that's what she does with remote viewing.
Okay.
Now, what I do is something I guarantee you have never heard before, nor has a lot of people. The ability itself is yet to be defined. But when I was first discovering it, I spoke to a woman in Australia. She had a friend who had a similar ability, and she says, "You're a shadow walker," which name stuck, and is what I've been using for now. But it's one of my 6 names or 6 titles that I've earned over the last 3 years. Now, this all started in 2020, September of 2020 to be exact. That is when my ability awoken in me. I never had psychic abilities or anything similar to it prior to then. It started with my hands, and the sensation felt like when your hands are going to sleep, that tingling sensation. And it starts in the center of my palms and spreads throughout my fingertips. And the stronger or the closer the entity is, I can feel them. And that's what the sensation feels like. I call it charging. When an entity is nearby, my hands will charge, and that sensation is what it feels like. Now, besides just feeling them, I can also pull that energy in by basically grabbing it. And in the early stages of my ability, I didn't know 100% what I was doing. I was still learning everything. I essentially was pulling the energy into myself and then filtering it. And the filtering process felt like a chill running up your spine. And then it would go up my spine, and I would blow it out of my mouth like a breath. And the energy would be neutral. Now, to be clear, I've only ever pulled dark energy. I've never pulled anyone of light or on the light side of energy. Now, I also learned to differentiate which hand means which. So when my left hand charges, that's a good spirit. That's a human spirit. That's somebody on the light side of energy. My right hand charges, that's something dark, something evil, something a negative energy source. So yeah, I've ever been pulling dark energy. I joined up with a team in late 2020, December, I think. They were kind of rebuilding their team, and we kind of joined up with them. And with them, I learned to more practice my ability, get stronger with it by going to investigations and learning the full extent, from feeling the energy and pulling it towards me, pulling it in, actually putting my hand to the ground and feeling the entire area and pulling all that energy up at once. And it took practice, and it took time. And then one of the members on our team, Mike, who is now part of my current team now, he had a vision of a of King Solomon symbol on King Solomon's reign. And you know the story of King Solomon?
I do.
Yes. For those who don't, King Solomon was a king of the Israelites, I believe. I don't know, 300 BC or so, about 300 years before Christ. He was the Jewish priest at the time, or Jewish king, and God bestowed on him a gift of knowledge, and that's what he asked for. He asked for knowledge, know-how. So he learned all these tricks and trades, Semitic magic, however you want to go about it. But also he was gifted a ring with a symbol on it that he imprinted that would allow him to imprison demons. And he imprisoned 70 demons. And he used them to build his temple. Now, that story is told in 3 different ways from 3 different religions, i.e. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Granted, in Islam, they say jinn. They don't say demon. But Christianity, Judaism do. So that's where the idea came from, because I saw the symbol, and luckily we had a member on our team at the time who was Jewish, so he recognized the symbol and knew what it was, and that's where gave me the idea. Could I pull the energy in and then push it into this ring, right?
Right.
So I bought a King Solomon replica ring, nothing special, just steel and silver, and I started doing that. I pulled energy in, and when I had it in my hands, I kind of focused and simply said, into the ring. And I felt the energy move from my hand and move towards the ring. And I kept practicing this over and over again. And mind you, this is about a year in of me doing this. And my wife, the psychic she is, one day walked past us, and I had the ring on. She goes, "What is that screaming? What is that? I hear all this yelling, screaming. Where's that coming from?" And I go, "Is it this?" She goes, "Oh my God, yeah." And she was like, "It's all screaming and yelling and swearing and stuff." And she looked into it, like remote viewed into the ring, and she said it looked to her like a snow globe, like a dome. And inside were these Dementor-looking entities slamming against the glass. They couldn't escape, just moving around in there. And she says it's like a prison. They can't leave. Funny enough, to every psychic, it seems to be something different. To Mike on my team, he says it sounds like a prison. All these inmates yelling at the same time, yelling and screaming, cussing and swearing. Now, about the time that I was doing this, pulling these entities and putting me in the ring, I learned or gained an ability or evolve my ability. So if I would take your right hand and focus, I could go into what I call the mind forest. The mind forest is your subconscious part of your mind where all your negativity dwells. So all your regret, all your shame, everything toxic that's ever happened to you, all your hatred, all that energy builds and becomes essentially a force where it can hide. Mm-hmm. And the energy takes shape in entities. So from a hat man to someone riding a horse, from creatures, from animals, everyone varies, and everybody's force varies as well. From the height of the trees, from how dense it is, from how open it is, from the time of day, from the full moon to half moon to no moon, to the color of the moon. I've seen so many different mind forests over my time doing this, and everyone is different. But that way of going into the mind forest, I use to go into the ring. And you want to know what it sounds like in there.
Yes.
If you're a fan of Slipknot, I suggest listening to the opening track of Iowa and times it by 100, and that's what it sounds like.
Wow.
To me, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it looks like is a forest after a nuclear blast. All the trees are black and ash covered. The ground is ash and black. The sky is ash covered over. All these shadow figures in there, different shapes, different sizes. Some have horns, some don't. And some in the beginning they tried to bum rush me, but after where I am now, they're afraid to do anything. And I'll get to that why they're afraid. So that was the early stages of my ability, focusing, going into mind force, and it took time.
Right.
And then
hold on a sec. Before you continue, let me ask this real quick question before I forget to ask. Yeah. What does it feel like when your hands are charged? Like, how does that feel in your hands?
Like I said, it's a numbing sensation, like it's like electricity.
Okay.
When I feel it, my hands will charge. I can feel that numbing sensation, then I grab it, right, and my hand will flex. And that simple flex from this to this will grab that entity wherever it is and pull it right to me. And it's In the early times, I thought it was like it's like a vacuum, like a black hole, like it was sucking the energy in, they couldn't escape. And like I said, and this is where I get to the next point. Through practice of learning to look through my third eye, to be able to focus, closing my eyes and focus through this one and see, what I saw was not pulling of energy. It was actually strings of energy from each of my fingertips going to the center of my palm and creating a circle. And these strings on the right hand were red with like a black whispery kind of like around it, going to the center of my hand that would glow. And then the left hand was blue with a white kind of energy moving around it, right? And when I would grab, these strings would fire and shoot out and wrap around the entity like a boa constrictor, squeezing and pulling it, like almost like dragging them towards me as it's compressing the energy down to about the size of I don't know, a tennis ball. And then that energy I would have, and that's what I push into the ring with a simple command. And then I learned to use and focus those tendrils to push itself through the phone from where I am to where you are, grab the energy there and pull it from where you are to where I am. Essentially, folding fourth dimensional space. So, regardless of how far we are, it's like our phones, when I pull, become back to back, and I'm reaching through the phone, grabbing it, and then pulling it through. As long as I can visually see in real time, like live real time, I can grab it, right? With using that ability, my tendrils, I call them, it's kind of a weird name, but that's the best I can come up with right now. I was able to send the tendrils out above myself and expand and cover an entire area, and then pull that entire area up like a cage of all negative energy at one time and pull it all towards me. I call those ground pulls or area pulls. Instead of taking each individual entity at once, I can take the whole lot at one time. Granted, it's a lot tougher, and it's like picking up a bag of cement, but it gets the job done quicker. And usually I don't reserve ground pulls until like after an investigation's done. After it's set it on with, and I maybe miss one or two things, I do that. And then I learned to do the ground pull through the phone by pulling in someone's entire building or entire house. The biggest areas I've taken is about a block of an area, a couple of acres, so like a farm. Entire buildings, houses, those are easy. Entire land areas, a couple, 3 houses at one time. I tried pulling an entire insane asylum one time, but that seemed challenging.
It sounds challenging.
Yeah. But then my ability evolved again. And every time I met with an obstacle, it evolves to match it so I don't meet that obstacle again. This is going to be harder. Granted, me only telling you this is really hard for some people to believe, and I understand. I understand it's hard to believe. I wouldn't take my word for it at face value unless I saw proof. And granted, I can't give you visual proof. It's not something you can see yet anyway, but it's something you can feel. And you feel the difference in before and after. You feel the energy move. You feel the atmosphere change. And I've had many people feel it in real time, hence why I have a lot of people believe in what I can do. Granted, I also have receipts of people I've helped before. On the podcast, we have testimonial episodes of people we've helped remotely come on, tell their story. And so you hear from their point of view and their perspective of how everything changed, right? Where was I going? Yes, the next evolution of my ability was after I took down a high-ranking demon. Now, I have, at the moment, 52 demons in my ring.
Wow. That's amazing.
Trying to get the Solomon's record, so I might be able to hit it by the end of the year. It all depends. 52 demons, 8 elementals, 4 witches, 3 skinwalkers, 1 primordial evil, 1 djinn, and I've lost count of how many human dark entities I put in that ring.
It must be so loud in that ring right now.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. It doesn't work like a haunted object. Haunted objects, as we know, influence the people around them. If you, from Annabelle, from the Dybbuk box, from Robert the Doll, they all influence people around them. You can feel it. You can know that something's wrong in that room when that object's in there. But my ring, you would have no clue it was even there. No clue at all. Unless you're a psychic, unless you're a medium, you can tune into it. Other than that, you or anybody, a normal work person, no idea. You think it's just a regular ring? You wouldn't feel anything either if I put it in your hand. Nothing.
Oh wow. Is your wife able to like tune out the noise?
Yes, and she
Okay.
does do it by choice.
I'm sure she does.
Yes, there have been times things I've taken have whispered through, or she's heard whispering from the ring, "Release us, release us."
Oh shit.
Yeah, she's heard it. She goes, "Shut up, shut up." She gets mad at it, but she's able to focus her energy and stuff like that. Which she has her own amazing story to tell about how powerful she is. And there's time later I'll get to her because some of the stuff she can do is, you think I'm strong, you think I'm powerful, whew. And the main one of the 5 high-ranking demons that I have, which afterwards we're done with this. If you want to know, I'll tell you. But as of on that, I don't want anybody really to know.
That's
Yeah,
I
that's
was just saying that's fine.
listening.
Yeah. I'll be like, oh, what is it?
Yeah.
Why does he want to say?
It's just, I don't. It feels like I don't need people out there knowing yet, anyway. But
Well, you don't want the wrong person to figure it out and have like ties to whatever entity that is and be trying to be summoning it. You know what I'm saying? Or
yeah,
however that works, because that I know nothing of a lot of like how demons operate and stuff like that. So
well, I studied demonology. Got pretty proficient in it. It's like a college course almost. There's so much to read. Learned a lot from different people out there in the demonology field. But know thy enemy. So I learned as much as I could.
yeah.
But when I met with one of these high rankings and I started pulling him through the phone to where I am, I could feel him stretch on the tendrils like he was trying to pull them off. To which I concentrated harder and I pulled and I got him out. But ever since that time, my tendrils evolved to now that they can electrify. And it almost like it's like electricity, like power cables. Like you see electricity running over them. They used to get like brighter and like almost like like electricity running through them. And I can essentially tase the entity that I grab, but with enough power to light up a city. So
Oh my goodness.
my wife says it sounds like Transformers about to explode. So it's like when she can hear it. And Mike on our team of psychic says he sounds like lightning, almost like that staticky lightning sound coming out when I grab and I electrify. But yeah, it went from that electrifying, and now as of the last 3 months or so, I was able to spin my tendrils, spin them like a vortex, right?
Okay.
But they spin like a vortex. They basically suck everything up into like a tornado, like they're sucking everything in a room, and nothing. Like you can imagine N.T. holding on to a pole, like trying to hold on while I'm ripping them, and I grab them all at once. So I'm able to take, like, say, a wall of haunted objects. I spin my tendrils in front of them. I could pull every single one at once and grab it and take it, all the energy at one time.
How much individual energies have you been able to pull at once?
There's a guy doing a TikTok live, and he was showing off all these haunted objects on a wall. I think he had 20. Granted, I don't know if all of them were haunted. Let's say even half were. Right? I put my hands out and I pulled that entire wall of his stuff.
Wow.
Now they're just up.
And that was through the phone.
That was through the phone.
Nice. That's interesting.
And I know a question people ask, like, has anything ever gotten away from you? Like, no. And I don't say this to be cocky, egotistical, or anything of the certain. I just speaking a matter of fact. Nothing has been able to stop me. Nothing.
How cocky and arrogant of you.
Well, people say it comes off that way. I'm like, no. It's not my fault.
It's just the truth, you know?
It's just the truth. Every time I've grabbed something, it has never escaped me. Never. And sometimes it's easier than you think. My first oppression case. I have yet to have a possession case, but I've had plenty of oppression cases. You know the difference between oppression and possession?
I feel like I do, but if you don't mind explaining the difference, that would
Yeah.
be perfect for anybody else who doesn't know. So
Now, a debate amongst demonologists is how many stages it gets to possession. Some say 4, some say 5, some say 3. I say 2. And because everything up until possession is all oppression.
okay.
And they want to say it's because of this, no, it's all oppression. The act of oppression is a demon attaching itself to you and then breaking your willpower down enough that you give up. You give up all control. You give all control of your body and stuff like that. And they do so by making you depressed, angry, sad, hateful, pushing your friends and family away. You become sleep deprived. You become almost mentally insane from the consistent torment of your nightmares and the demonic and how they're in your house, flipping stuff around, not allowing you to sleep, scaring the shit out of you of all ends of the night. When they break you down enough that you give up and your willpower is nothing, that's when they possess and that's when they take over. My wife had a perfect analogy. She said, if you can imagine your body, your vessel is a car and your soul is the driver. When a demon comes in, oppression wise, he basically broke into the car and now he's trying to rip you out of the driver's seat. And you're fighting the back, you hit, get off, pushing him out, right? It's a consistent battle. When possession happens, the demon basically just threw you in the trunk and now is driving the car. That's possession. What I do is I ride along, pull the demon out of the car, take it away, and you're back in control. But the first oppression case I had was a family friend to my psychic on my team, Mike. And they knew him from previous investigations. Nothing they did prior, but they knew him because he did investigations. They were friends from work or something. And their son was showing signs of oppression. Their house was haunted. They couldn't get any sleep. They didn't understand why. They would have nightmares. They were being tormented. And after seeing them when we arrived, yeah, they had black circles on their eyes. They looked tired. They looked beaten or like mentally beaten. And their son was not the same. They said their son was like angry and hateful, and like he would just start fights for no reason, and like he's a completely different person. So my wife remote viewed into their location, and that's what she does for really to help us out in investigations. And she'll go to the location, look around, see what's there. When she went to their house, she found a giant, best way she describes it is a Groot like demon, right? You can imagine a giant tree, colossus kind of demon looking thing, black wood, red eyes, smoke coming out the back of its head, horns. And they said, oh, they send a witch after me, right?
Oh shit.
And it's funny is that if she had the nickname like I'm the Shadow Walker, she'd be the witch. Why? Because every dark entity that we have come across has always called her that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is she does she practice that, or is that just like just because they associate psychic ability with witches?
I don't think so. Granted, she has done some, I'll say, witchy activity. If she had to be, she's more of a white witch because she does create a lot of protection spells. She makes her own protection salt that seems to be very effective. She's actually given it to a few friends, and they find it works really well for them. But yeah, she's more protection spells than anything. But yeah, they call her the witch. But she said, yeah, there's something there. We got to go. So we end up going, I think, the next night. We show up there, and what the battle plan is that Megan and Mike's wife, funny enough, is also named Megan, which makes it confusing investigations. Megan, they both look at me. They were outside, and what my Megan was doing was creating a shield around the house, not letting it run away, which seems to be counterproductive if you want something gone. And that's the point. I didn't want it to run. I wanted to take it. So I'm hyping myself up the whole day up to this investigation nights. And my second spirit guide made himself known that day. His name is Odin, and he is a Vikinger from the age of the Vikings. You think of anybody off the cast of Vikings, that's what he looks like. So, but But yeah, Ojin, not Odin, Ojin. And he says, "You got this. This is like this. I'm ready for battle. Let's do this." Like he was all rearing up to fight, like any Vikinger would. So he kind of gave me the confidence to go in there.
Nice.
Now, this is a demon. This is a confirmed demon oppressing this kid, right? All the stories you've ever heard, how powerful they are, how they can cause damage, flip people over, knock people down, scratch people, all that stuff, right?
Right.
So we go in. Me and Mike are in the room with the kid. Parents are kind of off to the side. Mike is sitting on the couch with the kid, doing a Native American prayer. And what he's trying to do is cut the tie between the kid and the demon. And the kid is talking not like himself, saying, "You're never going to break me. Do you know how old I am? You're just a man, blah, 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 this." And I was talking shit back, right? I said, "Come on, come at me, right? Like, let's go," and stuff like that. I was challenging it. I was trying to get it because I was feeling around the room and it wasn't there. But I knew it was there because I was talking to the kid. So when Mike finally cut the tie, I was like, he said, "I did it, get him," right? I reached around. I couldn't feel anything. And then I felt it started coming at me. Like the sensation got stronger, 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 stronger. Like he was running right at me. And I grab it and I pull it and I force it into the ring. And I laugh. And he goes, "What?" I said, "That was easy." It's like, "What do you mean that was easy?" I was like, that was easy. It was like, I thought I made a mistake. I thought maybe I didn't pull it. I thought, so I checked around the house. No, the kid instantly started changing. He started becoming normal. The environment, you felt the environment change. You felt like the mood, the vibe change, all that changed in that brief period, a couple of minutes of me like making sure. I asked Megan, check the area. She says, "I don't see it anywhere." She says, "Okay, I guess I did." But I was laughing because I was like, I have taken things down in the field of investigating stronger than that. And I didn't even know what it was. And I knew that this was a demon. And it talked all this shit. It talked so high and mighty of itself. When it came down to it, it was all talk.
I feel like that's a pretty common thing with these demons. They make themselves seem or portray themselves as like this super powerful entity, and they're really not. It's basically like a mind game from stories that I've heard anyways. But possessing like when it comes to children, I think that's the most creepy part of it, is that they attach themselves to children. You know what I mean? Like I would get scared even though it's not my child or anything, or even somebody that I know. If it's just a child, I'd be like, it would scare me. You know what I mean?
Granted, he was 15 or 16. He was a teenager.
Oh,
Right?
all right.
It wasn't like a little kid.
Okay.
Now, on that, I actually did help a kid who was 11, who was 12, who's a kid. And this is where around the time that I met Unknown Mike. We met through the podcast where I was looking for paranormal teams to do our round tables that we do every Halloween on the podcast. And she was one of the paranormal teams, and we hit it off. And we talked about cases and stuff like that. And after I helped him with his situation that you can hear on your episode that he did with you guys.
Yep.
Was it there was a knock at the door, I think is the name of the episode. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I helped him with that case, and then he found us another case that he was working on for a while, but never got able to finish because the family kind of had religious perspectives. They kind of want to deal with their own. Granted, they were of the Sikh faith, so I didn't really know much about the Sikh faith. So I looked into Hinduism. I learned about that. I learned about the Sikh faith and stuff like that, just to gain perspective, so I understand what I'm dealing with. And we reached back out to the family. And the boy's mother said, "Yeah, let's see what." And Mike explained to him what I can do and stuff like that. And I told him, tell her this, because explaining what I can do is really hard for people to understand. But here's something about it, make it easier. If you want to qualify me as anything, the only thing that comes remotely close is a shaman. That's about as close as you're going to get to what I do. Shamans in ancient times were known to manipulate energy and imprison them in their staffs. And that's in Scandinavian belief, and Native American, Haitian belief, and stuff like that. They all have shamans who are capable of doing that. So that kind of relates to what I'm doing. So I said, tell her I'm a shaman, but say I'm a shaman like you've never heard before. This shaman doesn't need prayers. He doesn't need trinkets. He doesn't need incense. He doesn't need meditation. He doesn't need anything. He just needs to be in a room with it, and it's done. It's over with. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So we did a video call, and within the instant of talking to her, I convinced her enough of what I can do. And in that same night, I pulled 3 demons from her home. And they talked about the boy, but they didn't talk like they were in charge, which is confusing. So she called us back the next day saying it's worse. Her son is like, he got pushed down. So she called me in the middle of the day, and I was like, where's this hiding? I asked Megan, remove you in, tell me where everything is. I ended up pulling the entity that knocked over her son was a witch. And Megan found a portal outside their house in the backyard. Portal the size of a swimming pool. And I was able to grab the edges of the portal and close it. Pull the energy from it and close it all together at one time. It feels like grabbing a rubber disc and trying to squeeze it. So it's really tough. But also it's spinning at the same time, so you kind of have to slow it down. So I was able to take the witch, close the portal, and stuff like that. Now, before we're kind of do a Tarantino here in a second, what was the problem with her son is that he was being oppressed to a very high degree. It got so bad with him that he couldn't walk. Like they thought something medically was wrong with him. And he was hearing spirits, he was hearing stuff. He said they're hurting me, like they're attacking him and stuff like that. So they want to take him to the hospital and stuff like that. And granted, the woman, her name is Dal, she's a nurse, and but she knew something wasn't wrong because this reminded her of her older brother who happened to him when he was a kid. And they put him on schizophrenia medication because he heard spirits, he heard voices. She didn't want that happening to her son because she saw the shell that her brother became. That's why she reached out to Mike and his team and another shaman from a Native American tribe around the area. Granted, what they didn't do anything because it just continued on afterwards. So she did seek other help before she even contacted me, and it didn't do anything. It just kind of pissed him off even more. But after pulling the witch, pulling the demons, closing the portal, all of that, clearing the kid's mind, it's another thing too. In oppression cases, the things I have to do is pull everything from the location, clear the person's mind. Because what I find out is that in oppression cases, the entity plants a failsafe, almost like a copy of itself. It's not as strong, and puts it in the subconscious part of the mind as a tracer, just in case they ever get pushed away. They have a chance to make their way back to the person. Or also it works as if it's a marker. So other entities can see that this person has been oppressed before and they're capable of being oppressed. So I take that out of their mind force, clearing it all together. And one thing I forgot to mention about the mind force is when I clear it, your main spirit guide comes forward, whoever it is. And I've talked to a butt ton of different kind of spirit guides, from actors, from singers, from dancers, from knights, from Vikingers, from hunters, from revolutionary fighters, from doctors, from nurses, from just all around education, like teachers, professors, business people, everyone. I've cleared probably more minds than I have actually done actual cases. And I've talked to a lot of different kind of spirit guides. And it seems what I find is that people who are going to spend the rest of their life in conflict always have a warrior for a spirit guide. But that's the only sense I can make of why certain people have certain spirit guides.
Okay. Can I ask you real quick before you continue? Can you see spirit guides through remotely like we are right now?
Yeah.
All right. So I've been told that I have a spirit guide, one specifically. And I was curious if you would be able to see it, or
I would have to go
if you. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's cleared.
Huh?
And I don't know if your mind force is cleared.
Oh, okay.
Now, someone could have seen a spirit guide that you potentially will have. I don't know. mind you, this is, I say when I clear your mind forest out, it's your main spirit guide who comes forward. This spirit guide would be the one that's going to protect your subconscious mind from future transgressors. If someone were to do it to me, they'd be met by a Aztec jaguar warrior named Azul. He is my main spirit guide because I have four, technically have three. One's a floater, but which they're all different from each other. It's funny. Azul is an Aztec jaguar warrior. Ojin, of course, is a Vikinger, and Harold is a gunslinger from the West. I would say late 1800s from his clothing style. At least that's I think like a typical cowboy gear. Plus, his guns look too like an 1885 or 1887 Colt. That's what 45s. That's what his guns look like.
So all fighters.
All fighters, all warriors,
Yeah.
which makes sense of what I'm doing now. So
right, it does.
Except for the fourth. The fourth, she's a Native American woman named Nahanan. And she actually came to me at I went around the time that I took down the Skinwalker, my first Skinwalker, because I've had taken down 3 so far. Now, not actual live ones, like these are dead spirits of them. You know?
Right.
A live one, I probably just end up shooting. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That would be amazing to document if it was alive.
Yeah.
If they were live ones. You know what I mean? Especially since they don't like they end up being blurry on when they're captured on photos or whatever for some reason. But
okay, we won't on a tangent now. I remember what I was originally saying.
Sorry.
With it's fine. I do it all the time. With Dal and her son, after I did all this stuff, cleared his mind, spoke to his spirit guides, cleared everything out. What I learned about him is that this kid has psychic abilities, of course, because it seems to be passed down in his bloodline. On the men's side, usually it's women, but on his family bloodline, it's always the men.
Mm-hmm.
And he has an innate ability to manifest anything he wants into reality. Mm-hmm. Whatever he desires or wishes immensely, it will come true. And because of that, he was able to manifest dark entities into reality by simply being afraid of them. Right?
Yeah, I got you.
So when I cleared everything out, I basically told him he has the power to stop these things from coming at him, from attacking him, from even getting near him. Wherever he goes, granted, he's going to see this stuff. Every place he goes, travels across the world. As he grows up, his abilities are going to get stronger. So he knows he's able how to defend himself. And I told his mom, let him know he has the power in himself to wish these things out of existence. If he doesn't want them around, they won't be around. And he has to believe that. He has to have that focus in his mind to do so. And she basically told him that. He took it to heart. He thought about it. And yeah, nothing's been able to bother him.
Amazing.
And this was about middle last year. And she messages us, like, I guess every about couple months, let her know how he's doing. She says she can't thank us enough. He's playing. He's running. He's having fun. He's a normal kid again. It's like it never happened.
Amazing. That's an awesome story for that.
But you can listen to that on our podcast, Hidden in the Shadows, which is called Dal's Story. And Mike from Unknown Paranormal is on there one as well. So he kind of shares his perspective as well.
Nice.
But yeah, the spirit guides in the mind forest is always interesting. The ones I've talked to anyway. But when I was talking about the fourth one, Nahanan, in my spirit, my fourth spirit guide, in my mind forest, I built it to be basically woods, right? Open field, woods surrounding it, night sky covered, you can see the stars. And then I molded it and changed it. And now it looks like a Viking longhouse, specifically the one from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I don't know if you ever played that one yet.
I have not played that one.
Missing out.
I think Black Flag was the last one that.
Oh man, you missed out a lot.
I don't know how many they've made after Black Flag.
There was Unity, there was Syndicates,
oh shit.
Origin, Origins, that was the Egypt one, and then there was Odyssey that took place around the Spartan and Athenian War, and then and Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the last one that came out, and now there's one supposed to be coming out later this year.
Oh boy, I'm so far behind then.
Yeah, besides being all this Shadow Walker stuff, I'm actually a big gamer. Um, but no, it looks like a Viking longhouse
Okay.
with a fire pit inside, 4 chairs around. Would be my spirit guys can sit around a fire that's blue, and there's different stuff in that in the longhouse, different things. When Nahanano came to me, now when people tell you that you have a grandmother or grandfather or brother or sister who passed away who's now your spirit guide, they're not right, but they're also not wrong. I say this because Nahananu was my grandmother. When my grandmother passed several years ago, I felt guilty by never going to her funeral because I'm all the way here in North Carolina and she was in Texas and I couldn't make it. So my wife connected her spirit to me so I can meet and talk to her. Another one of my wife's many abilities. And I basically apologized and stuff like that. She said, don't worry about it. Granted, she never spoke English before. She only spoke Spanish, but in the ether, it doesn't really matter. And I invited her to my mind forest when I meditated at evening so I could speak to her directly. So she came and I spoke to her and I asked her, I know this is not your true vessel. This is just one of many you've had because I know about past lives, or at least I say I believe because I've had several past life regressions done. And according to different past life regressionists, I have been alive, or my soul has been here a very, very, very long time. I'm talking before ancient Egypt time. So a long time.
I've had past life regression as well, and one was she had said that she thinks the purpose of that life was to learn how to deal with anger and patience and be patient and stuff like that, and I was a dragon is what she said. So I found that pretty interesting. I was like, was it a drag? She's like, I didn't see much. I just saw a very angry, fire breathing dragon or whatever. And I was like, do you think that it would have been like one of those, um, like a, what the I can't even think of what it's called, but like something that they have an insignia that they had on like a shield or something, like in medieval times or something. She goes, I can't see I didn't see anything other than just a pissed off dragon. And I was like, oh, all right. So she thinks that I've carried over through several lives trying to learn how to deal with my anger. So I found that pretty interesting.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to that in a minute and explain a lot of what I've learned. But before I forget, with my grandmother, I asked her, "This is not your true form. I want to know who you really are." I know this is one of many vessels you've had over your time in your existence, as have I. And it changed. She changed from my grandmother into a Native American woman, and said, "I am Nahanan, and I have always been and will always be your first spirit guide."
Oh wow.
So knowing how long my soul has been around, she has been with me for a very long time.
Wow.
Now, what I know, what I've learned about past lives, and the reason why our souls recycle and stuff like that, has to do a little bit what I learned about Dolores Cannon. Did you ever research on Dolores Cannon?
I have not.
She has been the most proficient in her and Michael Newton. He was another guy who kind of followed her study. Both doctrines and stuff like that. But Dolores Cannon hypnotized, because she was a hypnotist, hypnotized 2,000 people into a deep past life regression sense of mind. And she asked them all similar questions. And 90% gave her the same answer. So she basically performed the most scientific method of figuring out what happens to us after we die. And she wrote all these in her books. And what she learned is that our souls, the essence of ourselves, repeat over and over again on Earth and other planets, but specifically Earth as humans because it's the ultimate badge of honor. You live your life as a human, you are a tough son of a bitch compared to any other planet in existence. This is what she says. And I would not 100% believe, but this is what she says. And there's a soul council, and there's when you die, you go up and meet your spirit guides, and they discuss your life. What did you do? What didn't you do? What did you learn? What you could have learned? All this stuff like that. And all your past life memories are flooded into your mind at once. So you remember everything you've done before. And the reason why you chose that previous life, why you lived that life. Let's say you were a rich man who never knew want, had anything given to him at any point in time, but you didn't learn anything because you were selfish and you were arrogant and you didn't know what it meant to suffer and to learn. So you tell them, well, next time, send me back again, but this time I want to be poor. I want to suffer. I want to go through the worst life possible. So I learn perspective. I learn empathy. I learn everything from suffering because I want to know what the other side looks like. So you go through all that, die, and come back. Then you say, well, send me back time in moderate. I don't want to go through that again. Because then she basically explains why we choose our current lives, why we choose our current vessels. We choose our parents. We choose the life we're going to live with knowledge, knowing exactly what life you're going to live. And everything we experience now is something of a perspective of learning your purpose, right? Learning why you're even here, learning the aspects of living in life. And when you gain enough perspective, you ascend to a higher dimension or to another planet. That's what she taught, and that's what she's learned. And that's with everyone else. But with me, every life I've ever lived, and I said there've been a lot of them, I have been in consistent war and conflict. Every life I've ever lived has been a soldier, a fighter, a warrior, a knight, a hitman, a gunslinger, a bounty hunter. It's just every single life has been conflict and war.
Wow.
The furthest back she looked, I was a Roman soldier around the time of biblical times, so around the time Jesus Christ walked the earth. She says after that, around the 15, well, there's like plenty of lies into that, but it's the only one she saw.
Right.
In the 1500s, I was a knight in Ireland, or no, Scotland. Sorry. Hey, let's go.
This goddamn light. I don't know why it's dying like that after a little bit lately, but anyways, I'll just use my regular lamp. But continue, my friend.
That was weird. It freaked me out. No, she said I was a warrior in Scotland, swinging a claymore around. She says when she saw me die in the battlefield, and she said it took 20 men to take me down, stabbing me and slicing me all across.
Jesus.
The life after that, she saw me in the 1700s as a Cheyenne spirit warrior, where there was all these tribesmen around, and the chief, who was my grandfather at the time, was passing the spirit warrior ability to me. And that's actually will lead into my 6 titles. I can explain that when I talk about my 6 names. So he was passing the ability, the spirit warrior ability onto me. And she said you could hear like Native American chanting and drum playing and wolves howling in the background and stuff like that. That tribe was slaughtered by a rifle tribe of evil, as she puts it, evil shaman. Then after that life, I was in the late 1800s as a bounty hunter gunslinger in the West. She says it was either around Colorado or northern Arizona, somewhere in that area. She can't pinpoint where, but she knew it looked like desert, but also was mountains in the background. I was so feared and respected that no one ever messed with me because I could, any bounty you ever got me or paid me to kill, I would do it with no problem, right? And she didn't even know the guy's name because apparently he told her it doesn't matter what my name is, it's not important. But he apparently lost his wife and his kid, and that's why he kind of had no reason to live anymore. He just became a bounty hunter, just killing people for money or capturing them and bringing them back. The Native American tribes around the area blessed him from a curse that was on his soul, or my soul, and he ended up retiring in some kind of house in the middle of nowhere with no companion except for his horse and his dog. And he died in a fire because he saw his neighbor house on fire, went to save them, got everybody out of the house, but in doing so, got himself trapped and he burned alive.
A
And those are the
terrible way to go, by the way.
Yeah. she said she could feel his mind and what he was basically thinking, that this is penance. This is what I deserve. Right.
Wow.
But I saw myself, and this is what Megan has done, because like I said, jack of all trades, but the psychic abilities. She has seen me in the 1940s as a mafioso, a right-hand man of a mafia boss who was a hitman. Didn't live long in that one. I think I lived to about 20s before I was killed. Then I served in World War II. And that's the last life I lived prior to this one. There was a man named Wes who was actually married to Megan, who she was a woman named Betty or Betsy. Betty. Yeah, Betty. And I died of old age. I was the only one I actually got to live out my entire life. And then he died sometime in the 80s, since I was born in 87. So kind of like one right after another.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And you said, so in that life where you were, where you had lived to be an old age, your wife was your wife in that life?
Yeah, me and Meg, my current wife, me and her have been together numerous previous lives.
Mm-hmm. I've heard stories of that, like when you actually, if you are actually with the one that you're supposed to be with, you find each other in each life. You know what I mean? Like your soulmate, you find your soulmate in every single life that you live. So,
well, people, they always say you have soulmates. You have different people who you meet over and over again in your life because they're important.
okay.
Your twin flame is the one that you keep finding over and over again. It's technically your other half, your other part of yourself.
Okay.
So me and Megan keep finding each other over and over and over again. But there's also certain people, Mike on my paranormal team, me and him have been together a lot in past lives. He recognizes me from the West and our time as Templars in the early 1300s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I said, a warrior, a fighter, every single life. And this life has not changed. I'm just fighting a different kind of war. But yeah, my 6 names. Now, these are names that I either have been told to me or I was given. So the first is Earthshaker. That is from Watanatanka, Native American spirits, because he is the Earth Maker, which would make me the Earth Shaker. And that's a kind of stuck. Then there's Odin Stranger. I'm if you were wondering, I know it isn't, most people don't really feel right on asking, but I don't feel bad about telling. If you're wondering where my faith lies, if I'm a spiritualist or whatever like that, I actually am Nordic.
Okay.
But I guess I do believe in demons, because demons aren't exclusive to Christianity. They've existed a long time before Christianity claimed that they were from them. Granted, the most high-ranking demons are from Christian faith. So, like, of course, Lucifer, and then his high-ranking king army, who were previously fallen angels. So,
now is Nordic, that's like similar to pagan, isn't it?
Well, pagan is kind of a general word. Pagans didn't know they were pagan until Christians used that word to call them that.
Oh, okay.
So a Buddhist is a pagan. A Hindu is a pagan. Right? It's you wouldn't call a Buddhist pagan, or a Hindu pagan. But Nordics and I guess the Celtic, like Druids and around the European faiths, always get the stamp pagan, because in the early days when the Vikings were around, Christians were called them pagans, so that kind of stuck.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I call myself Nordic faith. I mean, I believe in the old gods. Odin, Thor, Freya, Frigg, Teeter.
Yeah.
And I made my first offering to Odin one night. I think it was the night that we did the oppression case, the first one. And I heard clearly, as I'm speaking to you, right in my ear, the word Drengr. Now, I had to look that up. Drengr is apparently a word used in Scandinavia, in that area. It's a compliment. It means badass or ultimate warrior, right? Like
nice.
if you would say that to one Vikinger would say to you, "Oh, dude, you're a Thranger, right? You're going through there, you're tearing everybody apart. You're ultimate warrior, a badass. You're a Thranger, right?" So if the All Father himself calls me Thranger, yeah, it's a big compliment. So that's where Odin's Thranger comes from. War shaman is another one, because in times of war there were shamans who went to battle, i.e., me, because I'm a shaman who goes to war. I do healing stuff, i.e., the mind forest things, but my main thing is going to war amongst these dark entities at certain locations and certain places. So that's where war shaman came from, and of course the shadow walker, that came from a woman I met in Australia, like I said early in the beginning of the podcast. And she basically said that's you're a shadow walker, you're a psychopomp, which psychopomp work is actually not what I do. It's actually what Megan does. She actually can cross over multiple spirits at one time, kind of like opening a door and saying, "All right, guys, time to leave." At locations we investigate. And one name that they call me, the dark entities call me, and I've been called this about 4 different times by a couple of demons and one other entity and stuff like that. They call me Order Keeper.
Oh, that's a good name. I like that one.
Yeah, they called me that multiple times. I said Shadow Walker, and he goes Order Keeper. I'm like, all right.
You're out here keeping order.
And then the name that I guess is the most proficient name, and this is a name that I hope hits the right ears out there, because I've been searching for someone who at least knows what it means. When I had surgery early this year, it was hernia surgery over my stomach. I had a hernia over my belly button, and I went under. The night before, we were visited by the spirit of my grandfather from the time I was a Cheyenne warrior. He spoke to Megan, and Megan, I guess, translated to me, basically saying that when I go under the next day, to meditate while I'm under anesthesia and find him and talk to him. So that was my intention when I went under. And none of you had surgery before.
Just once.
But I've never experienced falling asleep and waking up in the same second, and hours have gone by.
Yeah. It's bizarre. It's so strange.
Yeah. And when I came to after going out, I just looked at Megan and I looked at her. She said this. I was saying to her, said, "I know my name. He called me Ashwalakanta." Right?
Ashwalakanta.
And then I remembered back after I came back, and I was back in bed. I meditated on what happened, and all I remember from our conversation, we were sitting around a blue fire, and we were sitting on this incrop of like a cave, like it was halfway crescent. We were sitting on natural rock seats, and he looked like a chieftain from that period of time. And he looked at me and said, "You are Ashwalakanta, the Reaper of Souls."
The Reaper of Souls.
That's what he said. You are Ashwalakanta, the Reaper of Souls. So those are my 6 names. Now, Ashwalakanta is an Algonquin name, and I spoke to many natives around here. I spoke to a Comanche, I spoke to an Apache, I spoke to a Croatoan, I spoke to different tribesmen around the area. No one has a damn clue of what that name means. They know what it sounds like, they know what it like that, but they don't have any idea what it means. So that makes me think it's a Cheyenne Pacific legend that only the Cheyenne tribe know.
Oh, I thought you said Algonquin.
Oh, Algonquin is the it's kind of like English, right?
Yeah.
Right. Algonquin is the language that all most natives speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's in Massachusetts is Algonquin, the Algonquin tribe, I believe.
Now, I might be wrong with that, but I remember being told that like Algonquin is kind of like the generalization language of Native Americans.
Yeah.
But no, the Cheyenne tribe apparently keeps this legend close to the chest, so much so that no one else knows about it. So
okay.
But from the things I've taken from the people I help, my main focus, my main goal with this ability of mine is to go to location, case after case, place after place, and eradicate and pull and imprison as much dark entities as I can. There are, I always say there's 3 kinds of paranormal teams. There are clout chasers who are only out there to investigate, to gain fame from what they capture, and that's
Yep.
all they care. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about how helping the spirits. They don't care about who they piss off. They just care about getting footage so they can get famous from it, right? Then there's actually true investigators, those who are respectful of the dead, who want to know what happens after he died, that want answers, that want to collect evidence so they can prove it to other people that this is real. So there's my team, which we have the sole purpose of going to a location, taking away all the dark energy, helping as much spirits as we can cross over, making the place less haunted than when we found it. Now, I'm not saying forcibly cross everyone over. We cross over whoever wants to cross over. We've had a lot of spirits who want to stay. Like, dude, you got rid of all the bad guys. I want to stay here now. It's actually nice here. It's like, okay, you can stay if you want. We're not going to force anybody to leave. But we said, there's a door if you want to leave. And we have had a lot of spirits leave a location at a time. A lot of spirits, we find out, they get stuck at a certain location, not because they have unfinished business, but because they get trapped and almost imprisoned by a darker entity that's kind of keeping them there.
Mm.
And when I take away that dark entity, I take away that bully, they are allowed to leave. Almost, and then they're even more talkative. People say, well, if you take away the dark entity, well, how are we going to ever catch evidence? You can catch evidence after those dark entities are gone. Probably you get more because all these spirits are ready to talk because they got rid of what was suppressing their voice.
Mm.
And that's what we come to find in the investigations we've done. And the recent ones we've done as well, we hear spirits say, I can't talk, you'll punish me. Right? And then you hear over the spirit box, shut up, you shit, or it's like it's something dark talking.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen a lot of videos kind of like that. Like with the when they use the spirit box or whatever and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and they get one voice of it's like help, and then it's like shut up, go away, and stuff like that. I find that interesting. So
Because I've been asked before, like, what gives me the right to do what I do? And I simple answer is because I can. There's no one else in the world that can do what I do. If so, they would be around right now.
and you probably would have heard of them by now.
It's hard enough for me to get my name out there. Imagine somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I've met other people who have energy manipulation abilities, psychics with extra gifts. Some psychics can project light energy from their hands, like my wife. She can project light energy from herself, creating shields or protective symbols in certain locations and stuff like that, using her energy of light to basically manipulate and move things around. There's a woman we spoke in Seattle who can project light energy out of her hand, essentially pushing stuff back. Jane, the woman who gave me the name Shadow Walker, she similarly does what I do, but she pulls light energy in, like people, and it crosses over to the other side, right? Essentially, she is the vessel that they take to get to the other side. And the few, as a kid in India I met who has an EMA, and there's one of my friends, Cameron, who has an EMA as well. But it was we meeting other people who have energy manipulation ability, EMAs is what I call them.
What? So that never mind. You just said an acronym. I was gonna be like, what is EMA? But you already just said it. Energy manipulation ability.
Yeah. Which that's what I always thought I had, but this is where I differ from the rest of them. I don't have psychic abilities. I can't hear them or see them unless I'm actually, grabbing them.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that I'm a hardline and psychics are Wi-Fi, right?
Yep.
They can pick up everything around them through their mind wirelessly. Why I have to connect one of my tendrils to it in order to hear anything from it.
That's a good analogy or metaphor.
Yeah,
for that.
That's why I don't think I have. Granted, I don't think I'm a psychic or a medium on that level of like them. That's why I say I'm more shamanistic. But I'm a shaman that was born to do this. I didn't learn how to become one. I was just born to do it.
And then in 2020 is when you knew that you had this ability, correct?
Well, that's when it awoken. Like it
Okay.
I didn't force it. I didn't ask it. It just happened one day in September. All of a sudden, my hands started feeling weird, and then I started feeling around. And then my wife, would she say to someone in the house, spirit-wise, there's a ghost over there or something, and I feel my hand around, and I can feel it.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, so this is what I can. And through practice and stuff like that, I figured out, okay, this hand means this way, and this hand means that way, and it just took time. to where I am now, where I can pull demons through people's phones in 20 minutes flat, clearing an entire house, their minds, and the entire building.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I beat my record, by the way. Me and my wife had an investigation we did the other night, and in 20 minutes, 3 demons, cleared the mind force, pulled the whole building, 20 minutes.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's quick work. It's like light work.
And that's what some people find on the side of unbelievability. Is
Yeah.
not only do I do this fast, I do it efficiently, and I do it for free. Because that's what next question people ask: how much do you charge for this? I do not charge. I'm adamant about that, of not charging. I feel it morally wrong to do so. It's like a doctor asking you, how much can you pay me before I actually heal you? It's morally wrong. It doesn't feel right to do so. And I never liked how psychics would charge people for their ability, their gift that they have more than anyone, to get personal gain from it. So that's why I never do. And because I can charge anyone anything for what I do, because as fast as I do it, as efficiently as I do it, and I don't have to physically be there. Oh, right.
Yeah, right. And I feel like that gives you more credibility. To be honest, it doesn't make you look like a charlatan. It makes you look less of a charlatan. And because, like you said, a lot of people, when you tell them what you do, they're just like, I don't know, because it. I'm sure there's plenty of, like, me personally, I believe everything that you said, just because I've talked to so many people within this realm of psychic abilities. Of obviously, I've never talked to somebody that can do exactly what you can do, but with like regression and all that stuff. But I can see how people would not believe you. So, and then you're telling them something that they're not really believing, and then you're like, oh, by the way, $100. Then they're gonna be like, yeah, no.
Yeah, get out of here. You're faking it. You're just telling people that so you get money out of them. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Now, I never turned down donations, because that gal, she was very adamant about giving us something. She's like, I have to give you something. I have to. I was like, I know. I'm not charging you this. I don't. You're not being charged for this stuff and stuff like that. But so we opened up a donation on our website, Hidden Shadows thing, for people who feel like they need to donate. We never tell anyone donate this or donate that. Donate that at all. I don't care. Whatever you feel like. If you feel like you need to give something because that's what you feel like you need to do, then do it. I'm not going to tell you no, not to do it. But I'm also not going to tell you how much you should, or tell you at all. So
yeah, and it's just like with podcasting too. A lot of people do it because they want to be the clout chasing. They want to be famous, or they want to make money or whatever. Like me personally, I started this just because I enjoy the topics and I enjoy talking to people about this stuff. And it's actually helped me with my social anxiety with talking to people. So it's helping me a lot, and I would never like make a Patreon or whatever to make people or get people to pay to listen to me talk, have a conversation with other people about subjects that I am interested in. You know what I mean? So, I mean, so doing what you do, like, are you feeling fulfilled with your clearing and your talking on your podcast, and just everything that you're doing with your abilities?
yes, and ever since I was a kid, I've always had a hero complex, as they say it. Really, I just always had to do the right thing. I always felt like I needed to protect the weak. Always like stand up for somebody. I didn't never like bullies. That would get me in some fights, but I never backed down from anyone. Like a warrior's mindset. Now it all makes more sense now. But I always felt like I had to do something to be the hero, kind of, in a sense of mind. And now I actually have a gift, an ability like no one has seen in who knows how many thousand years, since the age of King Solomon. And I can make a difference. I can pull and take things that are tormenting people, who go to priests, who go to shamans, who go to paranormal investigators seeking help, and nothing gets better. But yet a 30-minute call with me, video FaceTime with me, and it's over, it's done with, like it never was happened. How am I supposed to not do anything with this kind of gift of mine? It seems almost selfish not to do anything. Just sit on the sideline and not do anything with this ability. I know how efficient and strong and essentially unbeatable I am with this, that not to do anything is the wrong thing to do. So I have to help people. I have to go out and investigate locations. I have to do this stuff. Otherwise, I'm just going to waste. And the podcast helps to give me my perspective on the paranormal, because between me and my wife, we can probably write a novel of 2 on just paranormal experiences alone between the 2 of us. She's had numerous things happen to her being a psychic, since she was born.
Yeah.
And me living on a ranch that I talked about in the early episodes of our podcast, that everything paranormal has happened to me there. Probably not on the verge of Skinwalker Ranch, but pretty damn close. The ranch I lived on when I was a kid. But yeah, the podcast gives me an outlet to talk about these things and also reach out to more people. Because some people might hear us talk about the Shadow Walker stuff or listen to the Shadow Walker series and hear, oh shit, this guy can actually maybe help me. They reach out, we contact. I say, you want to do a face climb or call? All right. I walk you through your house. All right, take this. Let's look in your mind for us. All right, got that out. All right, you're set. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, it's done. I was like, but I use so much sage and incense and other things, and nothing ever got better. I was like, yeah, because sage is kind of a band-aid for a broken leg.
Yeah.
It's good for clearing out negative energy, but not on this level. That's why I tell people, like, great, sage is perfect if you have like just a normal house and you want to get all like negative emotions out of it, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
But dealing with dark entities or even demons, no. Sage is going to piss them off or make them leave for a little bit until the sage just dissipates and they come back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
But
It's funny that you brought up writing a book, because that was my next question. If you ever thought about writing a book about your experiences and then about your abilities and stuff, just kind of like trying to get it out there and get it known, you know what I mean, for so that you can help possibly even more people. But
well, the podcast is kind of a book. It's kind of like an audio book.
Yeah, and it probably, and honestly, the podcast will probably reach more people than a book would, anyways. But I don't know. I was just kind of curious if you ever even thought of possibly writing a book.
Maybe when I'm old and retired, and my children take my place in this war, which my son is already showing abilities.
Nice.
Yeah, he's 6, is going to be 7. He's a combination of me and my wife, but opposite of me. He projects positive energy from his hands and pushes shit back. He did it when he was 2 years old. When he was standing, he was like, no. He's putting his hands up to something there, and it couldn't get past him.
Oh, wow.
Now,
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, being me and my wife's son, yeah, it's a good chance that all our children are going to have abilities. You can't combine me and her together and not get someone who's psychic.
So when you were younger, do you ever recall the time that your hands may have felt a little bit like they do now?
No, and that's what's strange. Like, I remember one time when I was a kid, I remember like 14, 15, I tried to do like psychic stuff because I was a big fan of comic books and stuff like that. And I watched the X-Men, right, on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Original animated Spider-Man adventures. I'm 35, so I grew up in the 90s cartoon era.
Yeah, same.
The late 90s cartoon era. Yeah. And Power Rangers, big fan and stuff like that. And then became a fan of comic books and read a lot of comics, or, watched a lot of comic book movies and stuff like that, animated ones. Watched the shows. So I tried doing stuff like that when I was a kid, but no, I never showed any sign of psychic abilities or anything like that. I always knew I was meant for something big. When I was young, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I'm a big giant pro wrestling fan. I still watch it today. And then I wanted to be a musician after I injured my knee and I couldn't do wrestling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wanted to be a musician, so I played bass and became a vocalist, like screaming vocalist, like. right?
Nice. I love
Which,
that.
yeah, I was in 8 different bands in the San Antonio, Texas music scene of the 2010s to about 2016, around when the scene was happening with Memphis Mayfire, Ask Alexandria, Attack Attack, and when that was starting, deathcore was just being born. It was Whitechapel, Impending Doom, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Suicide Silence were coming out and hitting the scene. Like, I remember that starting out, and I was in different bands that were trying to replicate that sound. So I was a vocalist in several. I played bass in others. But no, that's what I wanted to do then. And then the music scene didn't turn out for me when I moved here because there is no music scene here. Not as proficient as San Antonio's local scene. San Antonio's local scene in that era of time was like, I played shows with 20 bands every Friday and Saturday night. It was like packed shows. Everyone, their dog was there. It was a hip place to be,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I come here and nothing against Jacksonville, but I guess I got here after the scene was already dead.
Yeah.
And then me and my wife, we would have conversations before we go to bed about the weirdest shit possible, our theories, our paranormal experiences. Like, you know what? Let's make this a podcast, right? We thought we were calling it a pillow talk when we first started. That
I
sounded
love
weird. That sounded wrong. Like, no, let's not call it that.
that. I love
So we
that you
called
guys had conversations like that before you went to bed. That's awesome. I love hearing how connected couples are. It makes me I don't know, like I don't know. First of all, envious and excited about how, I mean, because we don't see it, at least I don't see love like that on that level a lot anymore these days. So um
You'll
that's
find it again.
that's amazing.
But yeah, then we just called it Not Your Average Conversation, NYAC. That was the early days of the podcast. And we talked about all different random topics,
Okay.
from music, from movies, from comics, from pop culture, from this. We just kind of had random things. And then we talked about some of our paranormal experiences. And those episodes, the paranormal ones, were the most listened to out of all the others. We're like, can we just drop it and just do paranormal stuff? She goes, you want to? I'm like, as much as I like to talk about music, let's just talk about paranormal stuff. So NYAC died and Hidden Shadows was born. And we've been doing Hidden Shadows since June of 2021, I believe. Yeah. Or 2020. No. Yeah, June 2020, because I gained my billings at September. We met that paranormal team in October, and then I started investigating the beginning of January of 2021. Yeah, that's the timeline. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
I remember.
June 2021
or June 2020. So we've been doing
June
it for about
2020.
3
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. We're one of
Nice.
the many podcasts born out of the pandemic. So, like a lot of podcasts, but then we survived after, and not a lot of them did. A lot of podcasts died after everyone can go back to socializing, go back to work, and all that stuff. So, but we were the one of the few that actually survived afterwards, and still doing it now. And we've investigated, we've interviewed a lot of people over our time doing the podcast. Different people, different paranormal investigators, different sidekicks. Made some friends and stuff like that over our time. Different subjects. Yeah,
I think that's the coolest thing about doing the podcast is the friends that you make. I mean, your vibe finds your tribe. You know what I mean? So I've become friends with so many people that I've had on, pretty much everybody actually. We continue to check in on each other and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. I started this because I've had experiences and I've always been interested in stuff in theories, conspiracies, horror movies have always interested me, even though they scarred me for at first. Like I watched Child's Play 2 when I was 4, so I've been afraid of dolls my entire life. I happened to walk into the living room when my parents were watching it, so clowns scare the shit out of me. But I yeah, so this whole, like, just the podcast in itself and the people that have come into my life has been a blessing. So I'm sure you can attest to that. Whereas, especially since you guys have been doing it for 3 years now. Technically I've been doing it for a year, but I did like 2 episodes at first, and then I really picked up in October. So I would say October, end of October, November would probably be like my actual year of doing this.
You're doing it. I like your concept of every episode is an interview, and you bring different people from different walks of life around the subject of weird. And yeah. Now our Hidden Shadows, we try to bring people along, but occasionally it doesn't happen the way we want it to, or some people have to reschedule, or this or that. But yeah, we it's either just me and my wife. We talk about a subject, give our theories on it, talk about how we would deal with it, with our abilities. Oftentimes it just and we take different subjects. Like I remember when we talked about music, we talked about the music and the paranormal, and how sound waves can almost interfere in bring spirits to be more forefront, and how we use sound, and how like the like spirit box itself is a new form of, like, say, the Ouija board. It's just newer technology. It does the same situation. It allows you to speak to spirits, but at a higher technological level.
Yeah.
And where technology evolves from there, I don't know. But that's my hope with the paranormal, is that it gets studied scientifically just as anything else, and it gets put into the forefront that not only does it actually exist, but actually you can build technology in order to do so. Because it'd be really cool if someone could build a machine that you can see my ability in full, full display.
That would be amazing. I honestly would love that. If I had a scientific brain and I could engineer something like that, I would definitely go to work right now trying to figure out if I could do that.
The closest visual evidence that I have, or I can even get, is me setting off an EMF detector. If you put an EMF detector and when I pull, it goes off.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That's the closest visual evidence I can give anyone. Unless I've never been around an SLS camera or a full spectrum, so I don't know what my hand will look like underneath those two cameras.
I was just gonna ask you if you've ever happened to capture through a SLS camera. So
now there is footage my wife has, and she feels weird about posting it. I think I've asked her to a couple times already, but there's footage. You see my hand, and I'm grabbing, and there's a circle shadow in the palm of my hand, and you see my hand close and then open, and it's gone.
Huh.
And it's strange is that it's a circle, right? The shadows where the just cause my fingers be shadows,
right,
or my thumb. This is a circle. This is like a circle.
No matter what you do, you couldn't have a perfect circle unless you were doing unless there was something that was a circle in front of the light.
And the light that was shining was enough that you could, like, it was shining on my hand.
Right.
So you can see, so that it should not cast any shadow, but you see a dark circle shadow in the center of my palm, and my hand close and then open, and it's gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she hasn't posted it?
No, I keep telling her to. She's like, no, I don't know what people gonna think. I'm like, they're gonna think it's fucking weird. Just put it out there.
Yeah, you're gonna get critics no matter what.
Yeah.
With what you do. So,
and that is one thing that I am already anticipating. It's already starting to happen. With my ability, with what I do as a paranormal team, with what we all do together, the four of us, we are going to piss off more people than will actually love us, because I am taking away the jobs of priests. I'm taking away the jobs of paranormal investigators. I'm taking away the jobs of shamans. I'm proving to atheists that this stuff is real. I'm also proving to Christians that you don't need to pray to get rid of this. You just need me. And another pisses them off too is that I'm not a Christian myself. Now, when I say that I'm not a Christian myself, I'm not saying that I don't believe in Yahweh or Yahshua. I'm saying I don't choose to worship them. I actually believe every God exists that's ever been worshipped. All of them. And they kind of have to, in order for different faiths around the world. Granted, I've heard one, and my wife has talked to several others. That is where things get more strange. Like I said, if you have time, I know we've been talking for about an hour and a half now.
Yes, an hour and a half. Yep.
I don't know how long you go on these things.
I usually try and keep them right around 2. Sometimes they go a little bit more. Sometimes they go a little bit less. So we could do another half hour if you want.
Well, I can talk about Megan.
Okay.
The very powerful psychic that she is, and she doesn't like me talking about it because she's very low self-esteem, very shy. She doesn't like, don't talk about me now. Like, Megan, you are freaking powerful. Let me explain why.
All
right. Like I said, she can hear spirits, she can talk to them, she can see them, anything any psychic medium can do. She can feel the energy of people. When she doesn't like somebody, and she doesn't know why she doesn't like them. There's nothing they said or nothing they've done to her so far that make her not like them. She doesn't like them. There's something wrong. And they could be the nicest person in the world. They could be Mr. Rogers. But if she doesn't like them, there's something actually wrong that no one else knows about.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. I get those feelings too sometimes, and I don't know why. Like there's a guy that I work with right currently that he's a super nice guy and everything, but I don't like him for some reason. He's always waving, always smiling, and I'm just he's done nothing wrong to me, but I'm just like I don't like him for some reason, and I don't know why, and I can't put my finger on it. And I have barely had any conversations with him, but anyway, I just found that interesting that you just said that. So, but go on and continue to talk about your amazing wife.
It's an empathic ability. So you might have some empathic abilities that you don't 100% know or you have to focus on. So I would look into that, mind you. It's feeling the emotions of people around you, but she can feel the emotions of the dead along with people who are alive. Like she can feel my energy when I'm pissed off or in a good mood or whatever. She can feel it coming off me. But again, we're so attuned to each other. So that's kind of what gives me the cheat code over everyone else. And another reason I can never lie to her ever. There's no getting around it. How powerful psychic she is, but her remote viewing is her main gift, her main focus, because she, like I said, she can go anywhere to anyone, alive or dead. It doesn't matter. If you want her to find your grandmother who passed away, I'm not saying your grandmother's dead, I'm just saying use that for example. She can go and find her. All she needs is a name and a picture of their face, and she can find them. And basically, what you want to know, we want to talk to her, okay, it's fine. If she needs to find someone who's alive, show her them picture, give her even their name, and she can find them. Right? She can at least see where they are and what they're doing. She can give you more details than that. She's still focusing on getting it stronger, but she freaked out my friend Cameron by she told him exactly what his room looked like and what he was wearing.
That's awesome.
Like, how did you even know that? It's okay. Like, he's freaking out. For fun, this is something funny, and I don't know if Lady Gaga listens to your podcast, but I'm sorry if she does. I asked my wife for fun, see what Lady Gaga's doing. Go find her, see what she's doing. Right? She found Lady Gaga in her apartment at night. It was nighttime for us too, and she was on the East Coast, and she was just cooking spaghetti on a pan, like heating it up in the pan, which Italians do, because my wife is Italian as well. And she recognized her doing that. And she said, well, what's she thinking? She's like, she's thinking about like upcoming shows and something about an album and how she's like kind of lonely. Like she said she feels like loneliness for a companion. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. Right. And I was like, we went back. Right. She's like, she can do that. And, but that is what every other psychic can do. Now, granted, there's other psychics in the world who can remote view as proficient as her. I don't know. It's probably some out there probably better, but as right now, she's so far the best in my eyes. Where she gets stronger and where she is alone is her energy manipulation abilities. Now, she puts a shield around things. There's even a shield around this house where we live, because every single day since I started this war, you would say, we have been attacked. Things come to our house looking for a fight. Countless things. Every single day, every night, I pull something, maybe multiple times. Even in my sleep, she would wake me up in the middle of the night. As I'm in the house, I go, what? And halfway awake, pull something, put it in the ring, go back to sleep. And that would happen a lot. And then she got proficient about putting a shield around things, and she focused on it and felt it. And now there's a shield around her house that even my tendrils cannot go through. It's like hitting glass, right?
Uh-huh.
And you all know how strong I am. There's nothing to be able to stop me. Every time I pull something, that's the end of it. No, but her shield, I can't. It's like, dong, I hit glass. And that's what basically protects us from attacks, from daily consistent attacks from everyone, from other psychics, from possible witches out there who have a problem with us, from dark entities. It doesn't matter. That shield is impenetrable. But she can also project shields around people's minds. Let's say you don't want your psychic abilities. You don't want them anymore. You don't want to hear the spirits talk. You're tired of it. You're tired of being haunted, of all these things coming from you. She can put a helmet, let's say a helmet, psychically, on your head that will block everything out.
Oh, that's cool.
But not just that, she can change it and focus it and make it whatever she wants to. If you just want to block out negative energy, she can do that. If you want to stop curses from happening to you, she can do that. It's to the dealer's choice. To whatever they want, she can modify it for them. She's done it for a few other people who have had problems with stuff, and they want protection on the highest level, and she's done that for them. But what makes us, me and her together, the most dangerous pair in this spiritual war is not just what I can do, but what she's been able to learn how to do. And this is what the coolest thing you've ever heard, cooler than what I've talked about. She can remote view into a location that says it's a dark entity, and she can body bag this dark entity. She calls it body bagging. If you can imagine her putting a bag of energy around an entity and dragging it from where it is to where I am here, where I can pull it and imprison it.
Dude, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. She sounds extremely special.
Yeah. So there is nowhere on this plane of existence that these things can hide from us. Nowhere. Right. Because I've seen the things that she's taken, and sometimes she takes things by accident, like she's channeling something, or she's just reading on information and remote views in by accident, and it pulls something back here, and I have to take it and stuff like that. It's just, she's getting better with it. It's a newer ability, but we call it body bagging because essentially that's what it looks like. Yeah, and going into her mind forest, and seeing sometimes, because she pulls something and like I'm waiting for it, like where is it? Because I don't know, I brought it here, and I'll go into her mind forest and it's in there, and I see a body bag shaking and yelling. I'm like, oh crap! I had to pick up the body bag, take it out of her mind forest, and then put it in the ring. You've done that a couple of times by accident. But bring it here, this plane, not in your head. Yeah.
So does she do something different when she accidentally puts it in her mind, or she is just trying to get it out of there?
Astral projection and remote viewing are two different things. Astral projection is physical world, your soul leaving your physical body and being out in the astral plane. Remote viewing is your mind goes to the location, right? Your soul doesn't go, your mind goes. And when she pulls something with her essence of her mind and her astral projected self, or her visual self of her mind into location, takes it and pulls it back over here, she often forgets to put it out here in the regular world. Gotcha. Keeps it in her head, which can get a little dangerous. Some things she takes, because we've taken several demons and several places, several witches from different locations, just to test her ability. She took something from Sally House. She took something from Bobby Mackey's. She took something from the Cecil Hotel. She even went to the Pavilia Island just to see what's there.
Wow.
Took something back with her from that location. Granted, those locations are probably still haunted because we haven't actually gone there. So, but a little less than it was before.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been together?
Married this year will be 10, together for 12.
Nice. That's amazing. I like that. I like that. And she sounds amazing. She sounds like you guys sound like a phenomenal team together. Just from your abilities, man. That's amazing. I love everything about what you guys do.
Yeah, and it's like we are getting stronger every single week. Um, from her remote viewing, getting stronger, projecting shields, putting the helmets, all that stuff. It's something that's becoming newer and newer. And in her manipulating the helmet to do what she wants it to do and how long it'll last there, that's she's getting better at that. And it takes a toll from her. And that's what someone I guess forgot to ask me, but someone's asked me before, is it does it take a physical toll on me doing what I do? Not necessarily. I classify what I pull in smoke and sand. Smoke is like a regular dark entity, a human entity, or a low level demon, and it feels like smoke in my hand when I'm pulling it. You can feel smoke, you kind of feel it, but it still feels like air. And sand, of course, is like a demon, a higher level one, hard, stronger entity, something older, stronger, and that, of course, feels more coarse. When I'm pulling it, feels like I have sand in my hands. The most pain I feel is in my forearm, and sometimes my hands, depending on the strength of what I'm pulling. Something I pulled from a location here called Patsy's Pond has a lot of sinkholes. And I send my tendrils through one of the sinkholes, looking through all the tunnels and all the way down. And what I found was a giant chamber about the size of a football field, with this giant orange orb in the center of it. And I was like, what is that? And I sent my tendrils and I basically grabbed it. And when I grabbed it, I pulled it. And when I was pulling it out, it was heavy. It was really, really heavy. Like physically, I could feel like the weight in my hand. And I grabbed with my left hand Mike, the psychic on our team, because I said, make a connection. I want him to see what I see. And when I was holding his hand to look what I see, what you see, he couldn't see, but he could feel it. I said, what are you pulling? What is that? And then when I had it out and I had it in my hand and I forced it into the ring, when it went into the ring, in the instant, we both felt like we got socked in the gut, right?
Shit.
And we both keeled over at the same time. Like we both fell over. And Megan, who was witnessing this, saw us do that at the same exact time. Like it was almost like in sync. Boom, we did it at the same exact time. She goes, "What the hell's wrong with you two?" Oh my god! And I told her what I pulled, and it's like, "Oh my god!" Like Mike said, "I feel like I'm gonna throw up." What was that? That was like the most intense thing that I guess happened to both of us. But when I pulled that, yeah, that was it. But when I said my abilities evolved, one of the newest things that is the strangest, and it's the strangest for me to explain, is in the ether, what I can see through my third eye, and I see my tendrils, and my tendrils kind of light up the darkness, because what I see through the third eye is like, everything's dark, and with the dark entities I see are like shadows in the dark, so you can kind of see something around, but I don't see it that proficiently. That is like a psychic would. My tendrils kind of light up the dark a little bit, so I can kind of see what's going on. And what I've been able to do now, because before, an entity that was too far away, but I can kind of feel it, but I can't get a good grab on it because it's too far away from me. And my reach is about maybe 50 yards, if not a little bit more. If it's too far out for me to grab, then I can't grab it. I have to get closer to it. But like I said, always evolving from every obstacle I meet. So the newest thing I can do, which is, again, really fucking weird, is I see myself grab the space that the entity is standing, and I pull that space towards me, folding space, right? To it's right in front of me, grab the entity, and then when I do, the space that it was kind of like snaps back to where it was. And then I have the entity. To me, it looks like it's going toom, 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 getting closer to me.
Kind of like what happens in the is it Inception that happens that I'm thinking of it, or am I thinking of Doctor Strange?
You're thinking of a portal.
Yeah. Well, no, but like where I don't know. I feel like I've seen. Maybe I dreamt it. I don't know. But anyways, continue.
Well, this might help. The best visual example I can give to what it looks like is, have you ever watched the movie Jumper?
Jumper, yes.
In the scene where Griffin, I think is the character's name, not Hayden Christensen's character. I guess the other jumper he meets when they're in the temple and they're fighting. Griffin's character, he's fighting Samuel Jackson's character. He like powers himself up like teleport, 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 teleport. Then he hits him right. That break in space where you see him there, then you see him there, then you see him there, then you see him right next to you. That's what it looks like. It's like I'm pulling that space wherever the entity is towards me, and it goes toon 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 until it's like right in front of me. Grab it, and then when I grab it, you see it go toon 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 back to where it was. So essentially, I'm folding space at will and the ether, not space and time, but space.
So the first time that you ever did that, what did that feel to you? Like, obviously, I could imagine you being in shock, but like, how did that experience make you feel?
It looked like the entity was running at me, but then when I saw where my tendrils were, it looked strange. It almost like if you can imagine looking at a scenery and you reach out and grab that piece of scenery and then pull it towards you, and everything outside of that scenery is just empty space, like negative, like say black. And you pull that scenery towards you, you pick a flower off that scenery, you let that scenery go, and you see it just like snap back to where it was, and as if it never moved.
Wow.
So that's what it looked like to me, but it was like in sections, like two, 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 and then I had it. So I was like, oh, and I thought about it after a while, and then discussing it with my spirit guides, folding space, I guess, and contact with the spirit guides. That's why I say I'm more shamanistic, because shamans have the connection with their spirit guides more than, let's say, a regular psychic would. Though most psychics usually have contact with their spirit guides, but I'm more proficient in it than the other psychics on our team. And it's like when they're trying to talk to me, the sensation on the right side of my head is what it feels like. It feels like the relief after a migraine. It's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And that sensation goes on, and that's when they're trying to tell me something, like, hey, listen to this, or pay attention to what we're trying to tell you. And then when I meditate, I go and talk to them at my longhouse in my mind forest, and we discuss everything: my ability, war plans, new cases, whatever.
Nice. So, what's next for you? Like, do you have a investigation or a case coming up?
We are planning to head to a famous location in this year. I want to say in October.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not Bobby Mackey's or say Cecil Motel, but it is a well-known location. And the reason I'm not saying that location, I'll tell you afterwards, but the reason I'm not saying it for everyone out loud is because we've had other cases that we've said where were we going, and that place gets sabotaged. So we find out that it's better to talk about it afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So how long is the preparation for you guys to go out and do your investigations and your cases or whatever?
A couple days maybe.
Okay.
It takes Megan to remote view into the location, check it out. Sometimes she gets pulls to certain places around where we live. There's a park that's no more than 5 minutes where we live that we've been investigating recently. And when you think a certain place wouldn't be that haunted, and it ends up being one of the most haunted places you've ever been to, that is a fucking surprise. This park, like I said, no more than 5 minutes away from where I live. Everything and anything we've have happened there, from possible cryptids, from hearing whistling in the trails, from finding witches' brooms hanging from trees.
Holy shit.
Yeah, from me pulling at least 4 different demons at the time I was there, pulling a powerful entity energy from underneath the earth out of it and imprisoning in the ring. Golly, everything we've happened. And this park has a trail, possible alien activity also.
Oh,
Yeah, I say
interesting.
I say possible. I'm not 100% sure. But me and my wife did witness a light shoot up from the woods, because this park, if you imagine a football field size of area, just grass, nothing other than, and on the outside of it, like a semicircle, is a trail, and that's covered in woods. So we're at one end, and we see at the other end this light shoot up from the woods, kind of like a firework almost, but it just floated up, sat there for a second, like a light, and then shot up into the sky.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have yet to see anything like that, but that must have been so bizarre and interesting all in one time, like scary and fascinating. You know what I mean?
Well, I've seen a lot of weird shit, but yeah, that was up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to have you come on again later, because I feel like you have so many stories that you could tell, but we are approaching the 2 hours. But would you want to come back on another time?
Oh yeah, because we didn't even get to me talking about how I saw a gnome.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have, yes. Is Megan willing to hop on too, or is that?
Yes. The problem with her, we're both of us getting on the same time, is that we have a son, and there's got to be someone to watch him.
I gotcha.
So if we plan ahead of time, because most of the time she lets me do the interviews, because I have the gift of gab, and she's very shy. Or I'm an extrovert, she's introvert. Let's say that.
Yeah.
But if we can plan it ahead, yeah, we can have us both on at the same time.
All right, perfect. We'll plan something for like we'll just do like a November, so I can talk to you guys after you do your October case.
We have a lot of stories then.
Yeah. So real quick, if you want to tell the good people that listen to this podcast where they can find your podcast and all your social medias.
Yeah, you can find Hidden Shadows podcast on all your podcast forms, from Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeart, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. We try to put episodes out every week. It doesn't always happen that way because we have investigations we have to do as well. So at least episode a week. Our socials are Hidden Shadows podcast on Instagram, Hidden Shadows Pod 2 on TikTok, Hidden the Shaw 6 on was Twitter, now it's X, I guess. And then our links to all our social media and all ways you can listen to it at hiddenshadowspodcast.com.
Nice.
But and also, if you have listening and you are looking for our help, we have Shadow Walker Paranormal as well. That's the name of my paranormal team on Instagram, or you can message us through Hidden the Shadows on Instagram. That's the best way to get in contact with us, or email us through the website. And that's probably the best way to get in contact with us, and we can either give you advice or at least help you out with whatever you're dealing with.
Perfect. So if you guys need help, please don't hesitate to reach out to them, and don't be shy. Obviously, if you're having issues and you need this kind of help, I mean, and you don't believe in this stuff, but you're there and you don't really want to talk to somebody, they're going to believe you and they are going to help you. So please, if you need it, reach out to them. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this show, please like, share, subscribe. I really enjoyed this conversation, although I didn't really talk that much this time because the stories were so fascinating. I don't even know if I could really form any words. But anyways, if you want to be featured on the show, where the weird ones are at gmail.com, where _ the weird ones are on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. So with that, I hope you guys have a good night, a good day, whatever time you decide to listen to this. And as always, stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish.